Welcome to the Daily Dispatch. First up, Japan and the United States met for the US-Japan Security Consultative Committee. We'll tell you what happened and why it's important. Second, a suspected suicide attack occurred at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs entrance in Kabul on Wednesday, which killed 20 people. And lastly, we'll tell you how North America is trying to reduce the reliance on Asia over the semiconductors production. We're here to give you the news and to help you infer the world around you. I'm Tayyaba Nisar, and here is your Daily Dispatch. On Wednesday, Japan and the United States met under a 2+2 format called the US-Japan Security Consultative Committee. The meeting took place yesterday in Washington, D.C., between the Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, and his Japanese counterpart, Kishi Nobu, and the Japanese Foreign Minister, Hayashi Yoshimasa, and the US Foreign Secretary, Antony Blinken. Now, during the meeting, the two countries decided to revamp the existing US Marine Artillery Regiment in Japan. As part of the new force posture, the newly redesignated regiment will be converted into a Marine unit with enhanced intelligence and surveillance capabilities. The new regiment will be called the 12th Marine Littoral Regiment, which will be based in Okinawa to improve Japan's defense and deterrence capabilities against China. Now, Okinawa Prefecture houses around 25,000 US military personnel and houses more than 24 military installments, with more than 70% of the US military installments. Most importantly, the United States and Japan have decided to expand their defense treaty to include the domain of space under it. Commenting on it, the Secretary Blinken said that attacks to, from, or within space present a clear challenge, and we affirm that depending on the nature of those attacks could lead to the invocation of Article 5. Now, in October 2019, both sides agreed to apply the treaty to the domain of cyberspace and suggested any cyber attack would be considered equal to an armed attack. Later this week, Japan and the United States will also sign a space agreement to promote the collaboration with NASA and its Japanese counterpart. The announcement to expand the application of Article 5 to the domain of space comes as China continues to rise its space-based capabilities. A recent report also disclosed that China has developed anti-satellite capabilities, also known as ASAT, including the use of directed energy weapons, which involve the use of high-frequency microwave emissions, and the laser weapons to blind or destroy the satellites. Meanwhile, China is not the only country to have acquired the ASAT capabilities. In the past, the United States, Russia, and India have carried out tests to acquire this capability. Others believe that Israel has also developed this capability in the form of Arrow 3 or Hertz 3 anti-ballistic missiles. The importance of the space domain also factors within the US strategy, as the country has the most number of satellite assets. Similarly, the introduction of the private-based assets of companies such as the Starlink and Virgin Orbit, and the joining of Amazon's project Kuiper will compel the country to ensure the security of their assets. Recently, the United States has also declared a moratorium on the ASAT testing, pushing the possibility of a treaty seeking a ban on the ASAT tests. Next on the dispatch. A suspected suicide attack occurred at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs entrance in Kabul on Wednesday. At least 20 people were reportedly killed and many others were injured. However, some analysts dispute these figures and accuse the Taliban of underreporting the number of casualties. The Islamic State of Khorasan province, ISKP, has claimed the responsibility for the attack. It is speculated that the target of the attack was a Chinese delegation, as they were meeting their Afghan counterparts at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs when this attack took place. Now, when the Afghan Taliban ascended to power in August 2021, the security situation improved considerably in Afghanistan in the initial months. However, the ISKP has emerged as a significant threat to peace and stability, as it steps up its attacks against the minorities, the schools, and the foreign missions. Now, in December, the ISKP carried out an assassination attempt against the Charge d'Affaires of Pakistan in Kabul. It also killed 2 staff members of the Russian embassy. And most recently, it attacked a hotel in Kabul, which was frequented by the Chinese diplomats and businessmen. The suicide attack outside the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is being seen as an escalating threat to the Chinese interests in the country, as it tries to invest in Afghanistan's untapped mineral resources and expand China's Road and Belt Initiative to Afghanistan via Pakistan. Earlier this month, China signed a 25-year contract with Afghanistan to invest in mining and oil exploration. Now, the ISKP's attacks have also raised doubts and questions regarding the Afghan Taliban's capability to ensure stability within the country and deal with the terrorist groups like the ISKP and the TTP, which Pakistan has accused of having safe bases in Afghanistan's border regions, from where they carry out the attacks against Pakistan. A charge the Afghan Taliban deny. The year 2022 was one of the deadliest for Pakistan since the launch of the operation Zarb-e-Azab in 2014, as the TTP carried out terrorist activities attacking the security personnel and the checkpoints in different parts of the country. Recently, we told you in one of our dispatches regarding the Amigos Summit taking place between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Following the summit with the US President Joe Biden and the Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador in Mexico City, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in response to a question on semiconductor production, said that an over-reliance on any one region will have dire consequences on the economy. Now hinting that North America seeks reduced reliance on Asia for semiconductor manufacturing. Semiconductors remain critical in the production of electronic products, such as cell phones, computers, and electric vehicles. Canada, for its part, houses one of the largest semiconductor plants in North America in Vermont, Quebec, which assembles the key technological component of IBM. Now, Canada has recently announced its critical mineral strategy, which aims to help meet the country's resources to build a semiconductor industry. Last year in February, Canada decided to invest nearly $189 million for the semiconductor-related research and development. We told you in one of our earlier dispatches that the Asia accounts for the production of 70% of the world's semiconductor production. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted the supply chains due to lockdowns across the world, and particularly in China. Similarly, concerns about the tensions between China and Taiwan, which is one of the leading semiconductor manufacturers, have exacerbated concerns of major supply chain disruption in the wake of the military crisis in the South China Sea or over Taiwan. Other Asian countries such as Japan and South Korea are redirecting further resources to increase their semiconductor production capability. In our previous dispatches, we also reported that the United States has also directed the tech companies in the US to reduce their reliance on chips made in China and is making additional investments in the semiconductor production at home. Since the last 3 decades, the US share of semiconductor manufacturing has been on a steady decline, while in the last 2 decades, China's share has been gradually on the rise. The ongoing relocation of the supply chain, including attempts to move operations to the Northern America, could suggest the decoupling of technological industries between the continents, which would mean reduced reliance between the continents. It could also suggest a move towards protectionist measures, coupled with an assertion of technological sovereignty by states to ensure self-reliance and the possibility of ensuring who has access to these critical technological components for assembling and manufacturing purposes. Next, new developments and alliances are being forged in the Caucasus, as Azerbaijan's president Ilham Aliyev appointed the first ever Azeri envoy to Israel, Mukhtar Mamadov, after a presidential decree was signed. This comes after November 18, 2022, when the parliament approved the opening of the embassy in Tel Aviv, which was signed into law on November 26th. Israel already had an embassy in Baku. However, Azerbaijan only had trade and tourist offices in Israel. Here is a breakdown of the significance of this decision. First, Israel and Azerbaijan have enjoyed close trade relations for nearly 3 decades. 48% of Israel's oil and gas needs are met by Azerbaijan, which is the anchor of Azerbaijan's economy. In exchange, Baku imports defense and military equipment worth billions of dollars, most of which has proved to be effective during the conflict with Armenia, and more recently in the Nagorno-Karabakh war in 2020 against Armenia, especially the Artsakh battle. Second, Azerbaijan-Iran tensions are on the rise, exacerbated by the visit of the Armenian Prime Minister to Tehran on November 1, 2022. Now, Baku saw this as Iran's attempt to become closer to its traditional enemy, Armenia, and provide strategic support in Yerevan's confrontation with Baku. Russia and Armenia are long allies, and the reports of Iran providing strategic support to Russia raises the question of a possible arms deal between Tehran and Yerevan. Moreover, Azeris make up the largest ethnic minority in Iran, and there is frequent hard talk between the two over them. Lastly, Israel recognizes the strategic geopolitical location of Azerbaijan. Not only the oil and gas reserves, but many speculate that the border with Iran gives Israel an opportunity to counter the threat it may face from Iran. This suspicion has led Iran to carry out military exercises near the border and ramp up its security there. And in our last dispatch, Myanmar's army, the Junta, has for the first time carried out an aerial strike on the headquarters of the rebel group, Chin National Army, close to the Indian border. The jets reportedly dropped 2 bombs inside the Indian border. So far, there has been no reaction from India to this incident. Myanmar shares a border with the Indian state of Mizoram, and the training camp of CAN, which is waging an armed struggle with other militant groups to restore democracy in the country, is close to the Indian border. Now, due to ethnic affinity, there is some support for the rebel and militant groups of the Chin National Army. Since taking over power through the military coup, the military junta has engaged in a brutal crackdown to suppress what it calls terrorist groups. That's all, folks. We'd be happy to receive your feedback and suggestions. We'll be back tomorrow with more bite-sized news that keeps you up to date with what's going on in the country, the region, and the globe. I'm Tayyaba, and this was your Daily Dispatch.